They opened the doors.
They let the people in. I believe it was a false flag intended to discredit and destroy any credibility in the Patriot movement, which they did successfully.
Oh, and it intimidated any holdouts in Congress. I mean, that whole Congress tucked their tails and ran.
Yeah, it was a psyop.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely.
That is a classic P.T. Barnum production.
Yeah.
If I can contribute, you could hear something was wrong in Pence's voice when before the first objection, when they were trying to get the law straight on what was going to take place, you could hear it in his voice. Something was wrong. I yield.
That's always a good idea to pay attention to tonal inflections.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And there are many videos surfacing. Matter of fact, just last night, Rudy Giuliani put together an assembly of videos, clips from various sources, identifying Antifa actors.
Yeah.
And with all of their equipment on display, their spray cans of tear gas, their Molotov cocktails that were found when several of them got arrested, their black helmets, their backpacks, their similar attire. There was even a photograph of one of these Antifa guys with his skateboard on the back of his backpack, which they were notorious for in L.A. and all these other protests back in the summer when they were burning America. And the video was spectacular, and he put forth a case in this video last night that was just phenomenal. It was a marvelous presentation of evidence. And by this morning, YouTube had deleted the video in violation of community standards. And it was the most gentle presentation of evidence without any, excessive commentary or accusations. It was just the evidence, and yet they deleted it. Unbelievable.
One more time. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night, Paul. Brother Michael, we've point well taken, but we've got bigger issues than the censorship by YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that. I'd like to focus on Giuliani himself. I didn't have it clear in my mind in previous discussions about Giuliani that he was the mayor of New York City when the 9/11 September 11th disaster happened there.
Yes, sir, he sure was.
Yeah, and he's got dirt on his hands about that whole evil conspiracy.
He's got mud on his hands.
Yeah, it's nasty.
And it's still wet.
Yeah. And it's a real bad earmarking that Mr. Trump is using Mr. Giuliani as his legal counsel when Giuliani is obviously, in my mind, he's a devil worshiper. He's part of the problem.
Well, as of a half hour ago when I heard Trump give his new concession speech, I am persuaded that he was a puppet acting out his play. Trump's
a puppet?
Play. Yeah,
you've concluded
so now.
You've concluded Trump is a puppet?
Yeah, I was holding out that he might, engage the 2018 executive order insurrection, but he's not. He's going to concede, and I believe he was set up to do this.
Thank you. I know it's painful to come to realizations like that, but I thank you for your integrity and in following the evidence.
I only made the decision a half hour ago. When I heard him give that new speech, and it was brief, and he was clear, I was waiting for that. I was holding out, giving him the benefit of the doubt one last time. Because in the very beginning, I even kept saying, when he gave that speech about the snake, I don't know if you remember that speech that he talked about the woman who let the snake in, and then the snake came back and bit her, and the snake told the woman, you know, you knew I was a snake, and you took me in. Well, that's us. That's we the people. We the people are the woman that took the snake in.
Thank you. Excellent parallel. Trump is a snake. I'm glad.
Told us.
Huh?
He told us in the very beginning, and that statement that he gave, that I think it's a nursery rhyme or an old school tale or something about the woman who took the snake in.
It's a very old poem.
Yeah.
So he told us the truth.
Well, there you have it. I'm glad good conservative people like you are recognizing, willing to recognize the evidence. This is the beauty of honorable people recognizing the common law tradition of recognizing evidence. And when the evidence becomes overwhelming, to the point where there is probable cause to form the belief that we've been screwed, that we've been deceived by forked-tongued deceivers, then we can arrive at righteous conclusions before God. Well, no pain, no gain, Michael. But I'm glad we got a consensus on that point now.
You just spoke mounds there, in that all the evidence has to be considered, and that is what has not been done through this process. And I have said from the start, this is not about Trump, this is not about Biden, this is about we the people. Trump did not have this election stolen from him. We the people had it stolen from us. That's my upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Further evidence the additional evidence that we will see in the near future to put the icing on the cake is if he fails to pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, because he heralded during the campaign, he claimed both men, were heroes, and they were standing up for freedom and free speech, especially Julian Assange. I know at one point early on he criticized Julian, but he had a change of heart completely, and he claimed that he was a hero, but yet he still hasn't pardoned him. So, and he also hasn't released the CIA files on JFK that he promised to do. He also did not end the what was it, the amendment or the law
Jefferson
regarding
Accord.
What is it?
Jefferson Accord. Was that it?
No. He didn't end the law that forbid churches from speaking out on political campaigns. What was that? The Johnson Amendment. He failed to eliminate the Johnson Amendment. He said specifically in his campaign that he would end and eliminate the Johnson Amendment, and he never did it. And he only built 400 miles of the wall, which is nothing. So those are the facts glaring at us that we need to judge in regard to Trump's credibility or not. Yeah.
Well, if I might, thank you again, both Michael and Cindy. The bigger problem, I think, is the electoral process is fundamentally flawed, especially the primary flaw is the dominance by the corrupted leadership of both the Democrat and the Republican parties. The leadership of the Democrat Party and the leadership of the Republican Party are working together. They both worship and bow before the same devil, and they're doing a divide and conquer strategy on we the people. And
absolutely.
Thank you. And unless we this is why we need to be having votes of confidence in our own qualified electors and county stewards or whatever any of us wish to call them. We need to be percolating upwards the people that have the courage to stand up and speak out and promote godly, righteous truth and justice for our American people, and put them in positions of leaderships so that they can be spokespersons for each of our separate communities. And then, once we have an assembly of spokespeople for the larger community, all have proper delegation of authority from each of their constituencies, and then we've got a general assembly of fully empowered constituent elector representatives like that, then we are in a position to go eyeball to eyeball with any such government as we may have justification to confront in any such tribunal, assembly, the Supreme Court of the USA, the U.S. Senate, House of Representatives, any state senate or things like that, county commissioners, all the way up or down the hierarchy. The process remains the same. If we are the voice of the people and we have our own constituency backing up and saying, yeah, I trust jurist number 7 there, he's my delegate. If we've got the organic community built together that speaks in harmony, speaks with a single voice. See, they're majority rule. They don't speak with a single voice. That's the nature of the Roman municipal form of government. Christian common law has a single voice, a righteous, godly voice that comes through with no dissenting opinions, because we already hammered it out in our consensus building process. When we go before the enemy, we already got our script written, and our spokesperson is not going to deviate from that script.